Hi quilters, it's Pam from AccuQuilt. Are you having so much fun with your 10-inch cube? I can hardly wait to see some of your finished projects. So quilters, now that we have the 10-inch cube and you've mastered those 72 mix and match blocks, let me introduce you to the Qube Companion angles for the 10-inch cube. So here is our Qube Companion angles. It's 10 inches. It goes with the original 10-inch cube. They're buddies. You got to have the same size. Our Qube Companion angles have 4 dies, and those 4 dies, in association with the 8 from the original cube, make 144 mix and match blocks. So let's show you one of the really cool projects that you can make using our cube and our Qube Companion angles for the 10-inch cube. Now look, one of my all-time favorite bucket list quilts is Storm at Sea. I hope you love that as much as I do. So the thing about Storm at Sea is you have to cut lots of pieces and parts. So I actually made a 6-inch cube, took my 6-inch cube, make 6-inch blocks for my Storm at Sea and kind of did a different colorway. But wait till you see what you can do using the 10-inch cube. So behind me is the project that we're going to make. We're going to show you some of the parts and pieces for it today. We're not going to make the whole quilt. But this is Storm at Sea. Isn't it phenomenal? I love this pattern. So let me give you a couple of tips. This piece right here is from the Qube Companion angles. It's a triangle, and then the rectangles make it a triangle in a square. It is that shape that gives the quilt the illusion of motion. So even though it looks like you might have curved pieces to sew, you don't, only straight seams, okay? And then we're gonna show you another block that I'm gonna make, and it's right here. It has 3 shapes in it, okay? It has the half square triangle from the original cube. It has the trapezoid shape from the new Angles Companion set, and the half square triangle again from the original cube. So let me show you one block that we made using those units. So I'm going to line it up here so I know how to show you. All right. So this is one of those patterns. So you can see that's the block that you're going to make. This is one of those patterns, quilters, that 1, you need to bring your patience, and 2, you really, really need to read the instructions on how to put the pieces together, okay? So let's cut some fabric and show you how easy it is to cut all the pieces for Storm at Sea. All right, so first of all, you're gonna need these trapezoid shapes. So I've already pre-cut some for you. Now quilters ask me all the time, they say, Pam, why is there a trapezoid in the Qube Companion angles? Let me tell you why. We're gonna add a half square triangle here, and I'll show you in a few minutes how we're gonna add a half square triangle here and a larger half square triangle to the top of that trapezoid. When you sew those 3 pieces together, it actually makes a square. And sometimes that square will help you to avoid Y seams. You're welcome. All right, and then I've already pre-cut shape number 5, which is found in the original cube. These are those great half square triangles, my favorite shape, okay? So keep in mind that the mats that are available in the original 10-inch cube, you get that 10 by 10 mat, and you get a small 6 by 6 mat, so you can cut all the pieces. Included in your Angles Companion set, you're gonna get another 10-inch mat. All right, so let's talk about the shapes that I'm going to cut right now. First, I'm going to cut the sides for the square in the square, or the triangle in the square, okay? So these are those rectangle sides. Now this is really important. You want to have that label at your belly, lengthwise grain back and forth across the die board. The reason is that lengthwise grain is really tight. So I'm going to actually, I have to cut two colors, this really bright purple and this really bright pink. We would love to thank our friends at QT Fabrics for their donation of our fabrics for this great quilt. So I'm going to put right sides together, and since I have the salvage edge here, this is the lengthwise grain. So a little tip, quilters. If you're just cutting off the edge of your bolt, if you're not using scraps to make this particular quilt, what you want to do is you want to find the widest portion of the shape right here and measure it, and then add just 1/4 of an inch on either side. That way you can just rough cut off the edge of the bolt. You don't have to go back and forth and waste fabric. All right? So I'm going to put right sides together, and then I'm going to fan fold across the die board. The reason I'm going to fan fold is if you just stack them straight up, half of the sides will be wrong. Ask me how I know that. I did not read the instructions, and half of mine were wrong. All right, so I'm going to come back and forth right here. All right, now the two-tone foam on the die is going to show you just where you want to lay the fabric. So you just want to just barely cover that shape. Okay, make sure we don't have any of that salvage in the middle of it there. All right, okay, so I can go back and forth. I can cut up to 6 layers of fabric in one pass. All right, so I'm going to worry about this little tail. I'm going to kind of accordion it up here. Now, if you're using your 10-inch cube and companion set, you can use the Go or the Go Big. So I'm just going to run it through just like this. All right, here's the big tip. If you lift up that cutting mat, all the pieces fly everywhere. So I'm going to give it some love. Slide that mat off, don't lift. Going to pull back our fabric. And so because I fan folded them, then look, see, I'm going to show you real quick how those fit to the outside. Okay, you want to make sure you cut them correctly. All right, next I'm going to cut my center triangle for that triangle in a square. So I just need to use, oh, here, let me look at my quilt, because already in my head I forgot what I needed. Oh, I need this bright pink fabric. I'm going to take lengthwise grain, labels always at my belly. All right. And again, we can go back and forth across the die board up to 6 layers. So quilters, think how hard it is to cut triangles perfectly every single time. With your Go fabric cutters and your dies, you're able to cut those shapes perfectly. And then I'm going to turn the handle. All right, give it some love. Slide, don't lift. So there are my triangles. So now I have cut those perfect triangle shapes. Look, we dog-eared the corners for you, so we can line those sides up perfectly together. And then the last piece I'm going to cut, my all-time very favorite shape, half square triangles. Label's going to be at my belly. I'm going to use that pink fabric again. And again, I can cut up to 6 layers. Gosh, I love this fabric. All right, now look, our Go fabric cutter can cut both directions, so watch this. I know it's like magic. All right, give it some love, slide off, don't lift. Okay, so now quilters, we have cut all of our pieces that we're going to put together today to show you how we're going to put those individual little segments together. Quilters, I would tell you, here's my biggest tip of the day. You want to cut all your pieces first and then sew them together, because lots of times you can just chain stitch, and then that way it's going to be easier to go together. Also, you want to follow your pattern, make sure you're putting those pieces together. So I'm going to take, we'll start here. So here is my triangle, and one side has the pink and one side has the purple, and I'm actually going to just give this a little press so that it sews together nicely. Okay, so what you're going to do, quilters, is you're going to line this up right here where we've cut off the dog ears. Okay, And then this right along here, that's a perfect 1/4 inch seam. Get myself a little pin. Pin it right there. So again, cut all your pieces, put them together, get your little table and put them out on there so you know the pieces you're going to sew together. And then you want to bring it right to your sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam. All right, quilters, so now I've sewn that perfect 1/4 inch seam. Here is my other tip about this. When I made my Storm at Sea block, I pressed to the dark side because we're quilters, that's what we do, right? But in this particular block, it will help you if you press your seams open. Otherwise, you're gonna get tons of bulk where those points are trying to come together. So I'm actually gonna take my time, I'm gonna set the seam right there, and then I'm gonna actually pull it open just like this. So a couple of years ago, Mason, my youngest son, he's the favorite child, you can ask him. He was our summer intern here at AccuQuilt, and I taught him how to press open seams. I feel like that's a really important life skill. All right, so now look how nice that lined up and how much flatter it's gonna lay without all that bulk. All right, then I'm gonna take my other side right here. I'm gonna line it up just the same. All right, come right here. Let's sew that 1/4 inch seam. All right. And just like we did the other side, I'm gonna just set that seam and then we're gonna put it right here and press it open so it's flat. Okay. All right, so now we have made the triangle and the square. So this is that portion right here in the quilt. This is that block that we're gonna put there. We call them units, okay? Next, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna put this trapezoid together. Again, it's to help you avoid Y seams. So I'm gonna take the trapezoid, and I feel like it's a good word to know, right? You should use it in your daily vocabulary. Right there, that's the half square triangle. And then right here is the big half square triangle. Look how big those pieces are. I love it. I love it because just think how fast you're going to be able to put your blocks together now that they're 10 inches. Okay, so I'm going to come right here. We've cut off the dog ears on the bottom of that trapezoid and at the bottom of that half square triangle. Going to give it a little pin. Okay, and I'm going to set that seam and press it open flat. Alrighty, and then we're going to add that half square triangle to the top, and you're going to notice that they are the exact same size. Love it when it works. Okay, then I'm going to come right here. Now, typically quilters, if I was sewing a whole bunch of these half square triangles together, I'd get myself a little piece of jumper fabric and start sewing so that it doesn't bury your needle. And then we're going to come right here, sew down a 1/4 inch seam. All right, going to give it a press. We're going to press open our seams. And you really do want to just use an iron and press. You don't want to finger press those open. You want them to really set. Okay? And then, ta-da! We have made our unit that has the trapezoid and the 2 half-square triangles. Quilters, we would love to see your finished projects. You can post them at AccuQuilt.com. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.